the fort of Srirangapatna is breached, and that is kept as a complete secret from him. The few stones are shown, and
What's he doing? Why is it a secret?
because he trusts somebody else, and he can't. He gives away the. After the Third Anglo-Mysore War, all the intelligent people, who many of them were Hindus and Brahmins, they were all removed, and in its place, illiterate. Just if you were a Muslim, you were brought in. So the revenue collection suffered, the administration suffered, and the army, there was no merit to elevate someone to the army. So in the process, you had all these sycophants, oh, Sultan, you are great, and this, that, and some of these French guys also who were there. And the British are there, and even on that morning of, they
fall
keep
of
telling him,
Srirangapatnam, huh?
they keep telling him that, your father had also, when Khande Rao did what he did, he escaped to Bangalore, he regrouped. You also do that. And he was quite open to the idea. He had, arranged some of his favorite concubines and some elephants and treasures and all that to run away from one water gate, which was a secret gate. That also gets closed by Mir Sadiq, his prime minister. So those who say only the Hindus betrayed him, Mir Sadiq and Mir Nadim, who was a Kiledar, both of them also betrayed him. So everyone was fed up of this man who made such loony decisions, a megalomaniac and a psychopath almost, who took Tughlaqi farmans all the time. And on that morning of 4th May, there's so much of documentation around that, how his morning began. He thought it was just another day.
Who documented this? Did he write it himself? He couldn't have, because he
couldn't
left.
have, yeah. A lot of it from his sons who wrote it. Some the British, interviewed. The British interviewed everybody, and they collected. Even Wilkes, interviews Purnaya. He interviews Rani Lakshmi Ammani. He interviews some of the Sardars of Tipu.
Of his last day.
Of his last day. Of everything that led to the run up.
What was he doing?
He was busy in pujas and incantations. He was studying his own horoscope and seeing that there's a transit of Mars which is going, and till the time it is going on, I don't know much of astrology, but whatever it says, that till it goes in that arch, the fort will hold on after that, and that hour had actually passed. And so he knew somewhere that, the end is near. And he's looking into a iron pot of oil, which they tell him, the nazar utarne ke liye or something, to take away all the bad luck. He is donating elephants to some Brahmins and some Muslim astrologers.
This sounds like Wajid Ali Shah, no?
Yeah, it's very, very Shakespearean, tragedy.
Tragedy.
For all the cruelty, these last hours are quite sad. And then he's about to, break his bread. And that's when they tell him that the enemy is at, shouting sight of, where they are. Then he's alarmed. He said, but they told me there's no breach. And then he realizes the treachery. He tries to run. He goes there, and the other gate, which was not locked, he tells Mir Nadim to open it, and he looks the other way. And that's when he realized that there is treachery. He has only his physician to accompany him, Raja Khan. And this guy, he mounts his favorite mare and goes out. And Raja Khan follows him, and there's a volley or something that hits the mare. The mare dies, and he also hurts his leg. His leg has already been hurt once in Travancore, where he fell off a palanquin at the Netum Kotta war, and he has a perennial limp all his life after that. So his leg is already in a bad state, and he falls, and Raja Khan tries to put him into a palanquin, but in the process, both of them fall over each other, tumble over each other, and he literally goes and plonks himself amidst a heap of dead bodies. And those last...
It's a battlefield.
In the fort. In the fort, as he's trying to run away from the fort, and there's no other...
Okay, so the breach has already happened of the fort.
Yeah, they've just come at... you can hear their footsteps. That is the distance they've come, and the Sultan doesn't know about that.
What happened to all the cannons and all that of Tipu Sultan?
Well, so that's what Mir Sadiq and Mir Nadim, when the British were to come in, at that very moment, all the soldiers were taken away to one room at the pretext of giving salaries, and they were all locked up there. So there was nobody to defend the fort. He was left all alone, where treachery had, I think, permeated every brick of the Srirangapatna fort, for which he was to blame himself. And so he's sitting there. I'm just trying to imagine what would be crossing his mind.
He's got into your brain.
The entire life probably zooming past his eyes, and there's a huge bombshell or something that goes, there's mangled masses, flesh going everywhere, and there's a inferno that actually erupts there, And at that time, there are these British soldiers who come there and they look at him, and he's wearing that bejeweled, sword belt. And they don't know, by then his turban has fallen. So they don't even expect that the Sultan of Mysore is there. They come there, and to take that, they strike at him, and he strikes back. He tries to put a valiant fight. For what joy? I mean, he knows that that's the end, but he still tries. Very similar to what the Sinwar thing that happened recently. So he tries to put a fight there, but one of them takes a pistol, and that's
Point
the end
blank,
at the. And Raja Khan is seeing all this, and he has narrated these to the Brits later. But he tries to, act as if he's dead, and that's how Raja Khan is saved. Now, by then, it's sunset, and the whole of the Srirangapatna fort has become literally a scene from hell, decaying dead bodies everywhere, fires going, and there are vultures, who are, all over the place. And both the British and the family of Tipu Sultan are equally worried. The family doesn't know where he has gone, because only Raja Khan knew this. And the Brits are like, I think he's hiding in the women's apartments or something. And so they try to go there. There's a lot of description of how his sons, they take 1 hour to come back. They are supposed to interview the sons, and they are probably teenagers. And the trepidation with which they face the British who have come right into their father's palace. And then they say, no, we don't know where our father is. And they go and search everything, but he's not to be found. And then a search party goes through those ramparts of hell that Srirangapatna has become. And they're literally making their way through dead bodies. And then they hear a moan or something, and that is of Raja Khan. And he then says, I saw the Sultan going that side last. That's all I know. And then they go there with a mashal, and there's Allen, Beatson, and all these, David Baird, who go there. And there, amidst a heap of dead bodies, they see this corpse, eyes wide open, body is warm, and his hand is still clasping the sword. And Allen writes that we were quite worried whether he's really dead or he'll suddenly spring up and, strike
because
at
by
us.
then the legend has he's become
so much. He had become such a cruel this thing, and a warrior.
And the Brits were also
They were certainly scared of him. I think they just couldn't understand how he would react, because he was so unpredictable. And he says that once the pulse was felt and we knew that he was over,
who identified his sons? Identified the body?
No, Raja
they
Khan.
only.
Raja Khan comes and then says, yeah, this is him. And I said, then we raised a quiet hurrah, and then the body was taken back to the palace, and a very ceremonial burial, very proper burial was given to him, which is at the Gumbaz in Srirangapatna even now, beside his parents.
Click here to watch the full episode.